The Game of Thrones continues in the sports streaming business. Now, Amazon has thrown their hat in the ring, potentially acquiring a minority stake in Diamond Sports, which has a long backstory, but it's the regional sports networks that broadcast dozens of local or regional games for Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL. Now, these were assets that were part of Fox previously, acquired by Disney, but then Disney had to spin them off, sold them to Sinclair, who added on a whole bunch of debt at the exact wrong time. The cable bundle started to fall apart, and regional sports networks were really one of the hardest hit. And amid that collapse, Diamond Sports filed for bankruptcy. Now, there's a lot of moving pieces here, but during that bankruptcy process, this negotiation happened. And I'm going to get to what is being reported right now and then some of the complications that may come from it, because this is not, I think, a done deal that Amazon is going to suddenly be a giant player in sports. But it is interesting that they're throwing their hat in the ring, given everything that's going on with Disney and ESPN trying to partner with the NFL. I did a video on that recently, but that could really make Disney a power player and Amazon saying, hey, we want to be part of this action too. So that's what I'm going to get to today. My name is Travis Hoyam. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they're going to give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. Now I'm going to go to an ESPN report that highlights exactly what's going on here. This is from Alden Gonzalez, and the early reports are that Amazon is going to invest $115 million, and then creditors are going to fund a reorganization with another $450 million. So Amazon would be a minority interest in Bally's, or the parent company, Diamond Sports Group, that owns Bally's. The big impact would be that Amazon would actually be streaming Bally's. One of the strange things in the Bally's deal is they are operating the regional sports networks that are distributed on cable, but then they're also trying to prop up this streaming network. And if you have ever watched a game on Bally's, it is the worst streaming service I have ever had any interaction with. From sign up to day-to-day operations, it's an absolute nightmare. So bring Amazon into the mix, and streaming is one of the things that they do extremely well. So that could be an interesting distribution plan for them. The early reports are this will not be included as part of Amazon Prime. This will be some sort of add-on. Right now, my local Bally Sports streaming option is, I believe, $20 a month. So that could be something similar with Amazon. The other thing that's interesting, and this report goes into this, is the streaming rights may not be as cut and dry as you might think. As part of their bankruptcy deal, Diamond Sports agreed to basically wind down their rights for most of the NBA leagues at the end of the current season. So what that would give the NBA the right to do is renegotiate a new streaming option, which wasn't really something that I think was a focus of a lot of the regional sports deals that they did. So the current understanding is that a lot of those teams would have the rights to take back their regional sports distribution. Maybe that goes to another streamer. Potentially it could be Amazon, but it also could be a streamer that's trying to grow into sports like ESPN as they try to go over the top likely in the next year. But it's not really clear exactly who has the rights for each of these teams on the streaming side and when those contracts officially end. So now you bring Amazon into the mix, and it seems like they're going to have the rights for the current season, especially for the NBA, and likely for the handful of Major League Baseball teams that are streaming with Bally's, but that may not be the case long term. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. As much as this might seem like sort of a weird gambit for Amazon, think about the fact that this $115 million investment to get potentially hundreds of games from regional fans onto Amazon is about the same cost as what Peacock paid for a single NFL game. So this is relatively low risk and very high reward as Amazon is trying to build out a streaming service and offer more and more value for customers, not only under Prime, but then also adding fees and advertising on top of that. And the battle that I'm seeing right now is with really three companies who are interested in playing a big role in sports streaming. I talked about ESPN and Disney. They have reportedly been in talks with the NFL to actually have the NFL take an equity stake in ESPN, trying to become the leader in sports streaming. If you get the NFL on board and you add in things like the NFL Network, NFL Plus, the Red Zone would be part of that. that could put you in a really powerful position in the future of sports streaming. Once you have those subscribers and you have monthly revenue coming in, now you can make a deal with the NBA. You can make a deal with Major League Baseball, with smaller sports, and then you become the go-to place for streaming sports. And I think that's what ultimately what ESPN wants to be. But there are competitors who don't want to give up that position. YouTube is one. YouTube has the deal for NFL Sunday Ticket. Then you have Amazon, who's also been streaming the Thursday night games or some of the Thursday night games. So they're obviously interested in playing in streaming the most valuable asset in sports, and that's NFL rights. Now this brings a bunch of the kind of secondary assets into Amazon's fold. So could this be a precursor to a larger deal for Amazon? Remember, those NBA rights are up at the end of the year. So we may see regional, national, and even some global rights start to go to new companies. I think Disney and ESPN obviously want to be a part of that. But does Amazon want to be part of it from a streaming service? And do they partner with one of the broadcast networks or a couple of cable networks? That's where this becomes really interesting, because Amazon has the checkbook to play a big role in the streaming business on the sports side of things. And it's going to take a big checkbook to try to build out a streaming service based on sports. The odd thing is that it's Bally's that they chose to partner with right now, because Bally's has kind of been a laughingstock of the industry. Ever since it was taken over by Sinclair, it's just been a financial disaster. So I don't know that the current assets under Bally's are really going to be all that valuable for Amazon, but it could give the company a foot in the door to compete with a company like ESPN. I think that's ultimately where they want to go. From a strategic perspective, Amazon is playing likely a multi-decade game in streaming. They're already one of the streaming leaders with Amazon Prime. Now they could be a leader in sports as well. So that would be a really interesting position to be. The other thing to watch is, do they start to split this off and have a subscription that's just for their streaming service, and you don't necessarily have to get the things like 2-day shipping, because now these are starting to be really costly assets. So that's another thing to watch, I think, where they're starting to move in that direction, but may move further in that direction if they're writing big checks to the sports leagues.
The other company to watch is Apple. Apple's spending $250 million a year on all of the content for MLS. That's a relatively small sport compared to something like the NBA or MLB. But does this cause Apple to start to enter the market in sports in an even bigger way? If Amazon's going to be in, Apple is likely going to be a bidder as well.
But I will be keeping an eye on this here on this channel. So don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing and leave your comments about this in the comment section below. This is something I'm really fascinated in. I think Disney has a much stronger position than a lot of people think, but wasn't really anticipating that Amazon would make a play for Bally's Sports. So I'm going to be watching this closely. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you here next time.